Welcome back to Kiwoon. I'm Caleb, and today we'll be doing a stock analysis on Boeing, ticker BA, and currently valued around $208 a share. The stock is up nearly 120% since the all-time lows of COVID, but still down over 50% from all-time highs. And in this video, we'll be analyzing Boeing's business model and going over key factors like fundamentals, growth, and profitability, while going over why Boeing stock may be overvalued. Now let's get right into it. Real quick, let's go over how Boeing makes revenue. A lot of people don't realize that commercial airplanes make up less than half of Boeing's total revenue. Nearly 65% of services are actually made through Boeing from global services and the defense sector. And in the past year, commercial airlines actually made up 0% of their operating earnings. And so what do the commercial airplanes already do? And as many of you already know, their commercial airplane sector supplies jetliners to meet global airlines' varying requirements for transporting passengers and cargo. And in the second half down here, we can see what their revenue was. The segment loss from operations narrowed to $472 million from $2.8 billion in the quarter a year ago. And they also produced MAX 737s that had been impacted by the aircraft's grounding in March 2019, but have since relaunched this year and have done so rather successfully. Now we move on to their defense sector. Basically, Boeing's defense sector researches, develops, and produces strategic defense and intelligence systems. They also create weapon systems for strike, surveillance, and mobility. Earnings from operations rose nearly 60% in quarter 2 of 2021 to $958 million, comprising of a 63% total, and revenue grew 4.4% to $6.9 billion, comprising 40% of the total of all the segments. And lastly, we have their global services. A lot of the global services has to do with Boeing and their supply chain, logistics, and digital services throughout the world. They also offer services to its commercial and defense customers around the globe. Through this, they've made earnings from operations of nearly $531 million in Q2 2021, a significant improvement of the $672 million loss from operations posted in the year-ago quarter. And although Boeing's numbers may not be the greatest, we need to understand, although Omicron concerns are growing at the time, this doesn't mean Boeing will automatically fail. They're most known for an airline company, but they actually make most of their money from other sectors and will probably be more minimal than people make it seem to be. So now that we went over how Boeing makes money, let's go over their fundamentals for their stock. And as we can see here, Boeing is actually unprofitable. So they don't even have a PDE ratio that we can compare to the industry or the market. They also do not have a PEG ratio or a positive price to book ratio. And due to Boeing being in debt as well, Boeing has almost no fundamentals that we can even determine whether or not it is a good value. Now, why in the world are people saying that Boeing is undervalued? Much of Boeing's reasoning in why they have a current stock price that they do and analysis projections for future growth is due to the positive revenue in Q2 of this year and will hopefully be consistent with an increase until 2024. And if that happens, that's great. But value investors, we need to be conservative with our estimates, and if something is going to, in the past year has taught us, we really don't know what's going to happen in the future. With that being said, I think that this stock should just be on your watch list, and actually according to this Gordon Growth Exit model, they have a fair value of roughly $152. Some say that this is a bit high, especially Omicron concerns growing, but I feel that Boeing can be a very profitable company, but personally not a company I would buy for the long term until second quarter of this year. But what I do think Boeing could potentially be is a great swing trade. Looking at their chart, we can see that Boeing has this gap all the way from November of 2020 that they still have not filled on their chart. And they also have a descending triangle type pattern here that they did break out at the beginning of November. But as we can see here, as I zoom in, these moving averages pushed Boeing straight down. And so I think Boeing can actually come down to this 158 level, this bottom of this gap that they have yet to fill. And with their stochastic going into the upper margin, if this moving average doesn't push them back down, then maybe they can break into the 230, 240 level. But I do think that there's a strong argument here for Boeing or BA to essentially be traded downwards for quite some time now. And especially if there's enough volume, I think they can fall rather easily. But yeah, guys, that's basically all I have on Boeing. And hopefully understanding Boeing's business model helped in understanding how to fairly value the company. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Make sure to tell someone that you love them, and peace.